Good evening. The hour of 5:30 PM has arrived. I'll call to order this special meeting of the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee. This meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keene YouTube channel and Channel 1302. The video is also posted on the city website by the end of the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. Anyone wishing to view a copy of the proposed operating budget will find it on the city website. Copies of the printed agenda are available in the wall pockets just as you enter the meeting room this evening. The public will be recognized to ask questions and make comments on agenda items under discussion. After being recognized, all remarks will be made through the chair, and I will not recognize an individual a second time until everyone who wishes has had a chance to speak. Anyone who wishes to address the committee is asked to go to one of the microphones in the room and identify themselves by name and address prior to speaking. Now call to order this special meeting of the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee and declare a quorum present, and we probably will have a Zoomer join us. Our minute taker does this remotely, so please remember to turn your microphones on and speak loudly so she can have nice, accurate minutes. With that, and zoom in from aviation.
Looks like I'm already on here. Good evening, Dave Hickling, Airport Director.
Microphone. I think it needs to be green, right?
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, Dave Hickling, Airport Director. As usual, I have a pretty simple budget here, and I always like to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about the airport. So just a reminder, the airport's primary goal is to provide a safe, secure, and efficient facility for our aeronautical operations in the area. We have a lot of different uses at the airport, including private, recreational, corporate flights, flight training, medical transport, utility patrol, and a lot of other uses. Day-to-day, this involves, maintaining 60 acres of pavement, keeping 350 acres mowed to control hazardous wildlife, keeping 400-plus runway and taxiway lights lit, maintaining a 2,400-gallon aviation fuel facility, 5 buildings, ensuring compliance with multiple federal and state regulatory agencies, among many other tasks and responsibilities. And this is all done with a small but very dedicated team who work very efficiently, and they're very aware of our fiscal responsibility to the taxpayers. So currently, we continue to be a very vibrant general aviation airport. A couple of years ago, we installed some equipment that monitors the air traffic radio transmissions, so that helps us track how many operations we have. Before that, we were making estimates on that, so this gives us a little more accurate count. For 2024, calendar year 2024, it calculated we had over 20,000 operations. So an operation being a takeoff, a landing, or an approach. That's a lot of an activity for an airport this size. Very vibrant. So we have a base local flight department, corporate flight department that reported 324 operations last year. The FBO Monadnock Aviation reported they had 380 turbine operations, that's jet aircraft. So a little over 700 jet operations. Now, these jets are primarily operated for business purposes. So these are flights where people from this region, the Monadnock region, are either flying out to do business somewhere or flying people in to do business in our region. That's quite a bit of corporate activity. We maintain right around 50 based aircraft at the airport. And one thing I like to bring out is the employment that this airport creates. Between the businesses, the base corporate flight department, the Monadnock Aviation, Monadnock Choppers, and the restaurant, we have around 50 employees that work at the airport, call the airport where they work. Another little interesting tidbit of information, the restaurant served 56,663 meals last year. That's a busy little restaurant. Sometimes we don't even recognize impacts the airport has to the community. A couple weeks ago, so the FAA maintains an automated weather observation system at the airport. A couple weeks ago, they started to change the way that transmits data. So it's been down for a couple weeks. So WMUR uses that for their weather. All the weather apps uses it. So we've been getting calls going, why aren't we getting weather? So this is a system that's maintained that we have this availability here at Keene because we have the airport. A lot of communities, when they get their weather, they're basically getting the weather from the closest community that might be a long ways away. We have this here because of the airport. So a lot of benefits to having this airport in the community. So on to the budget. The airport has worked again to present a budget that's going to minimize the reliance on general fund assistance. On the revenue side, we see an increase, and we usually have that increase through contractual escalators, but we've also seen growth in fuel flowage fees and gross revenue sharing. So we're looking at about a 3% increase in revenues. On the expenditure side, we did have some increase. Over the last 4 years, we were able to decrease our operating expenditures by just closely monitoring historical use and cutting back where we could. We've kind of got to the point where we've cut all the fat and we don't have a lot to cut, but we're still managed to keep those increases under control with just about a 3.2% increase in expenditures for the operating budget. So overall, we have about a 5.7 increase in expenditures on the budget. So that's an overview. If you want to go through line by line, I'll be happy to answer any questions, if there's any.
Any questions up here? Members of the public? Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ed Haas, 114 Jordan Road. I'm curious about the status of the T hangar and the extended leases there, or how we're relating to the occupants of the T hangar, so they have some confidence in what they're doing there.
Yep, I have that lease. That's on the next on my agenda. I had the open house to the 5K I was getting done with, and now I've got that on my agenda.
Okay. Anything else? Mr. Mayor?
Jay Kahn. I just heard Dave make mention of the 5K race for the senior center at the airport this last weekend. In being there at the outset and saying some few words, it was brought to my attention there are 199 people registered for that event. And just to say, the airport director had to coordinate with the FAA and the senior center for that event, and it was greatly appreciated by that organization and the runners and walkers that were out there this weekend. It's a really well-maintained and attractive space to invite people into, and it was a nice way to do it, and the planes that were on display were interesting as well. Anyway, kudos to Dave for being a community engaged person that could support that organization. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Mayor.
I thought you were going to tell us you were a race winner. Okay.
Top Gun.
Anything else for Mr. Director? In that case, next person is,
Thank you.
or people, probably a group of people from the library. And that's on page 110.
Mr. Chair, I just want to let you know I did sneak in out of here.
Gotcha, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jane Pitts, and I'm a trustee of the Keene Public Library. Our president, William Stroop, sends his regrets this evening, but I'm very happy to come in his stead and extend greetings from the library and also give you some highlights from our past year. Okay. So it's been another dynamic year for the Keene Public Library. Always a vibrant hub of activity and a welcoming space. The library, whose services are free and available to patrons from all walks of life, is now needed more than ever. In times of economic uncertainty, library usage directly increases, so maintaining our collection, our program offerings, and other key patron services is a necessary concern. In the past year alone, There has been elevated demand for Wi-Fi and internet access. Public computer usage has risen, and reservations of the library's public and private meeting spaces has increased. From our collection, circulation has increased for downloadable and streaming items and also equipment borrowing. Program attendance has been robust, with wait lists needed for some of our offerings. In recognition of these needs, the library staff has responded in kind by strengthening our existing services, pooling our community resources, and widening our outreach. The library is well positioned to support the community, and I'd like to speak to 4 areas as to why this is. We have cultivated a diverse collection and service offerings. With a greater strain on pocketbooks, some needs have become more immediate beyond the borrowing of books. Patrons have been turning to us to access resources that they can't afford, such as remote printing if they don't have a printer, digital entertainment, movies, audiobooks, video games, in lieu of holding their own personal streaming subscriptions. They use the state law library database to file court documents, and they've been attending workshops to strengthen their financial literacy, including financial planning for elders. The library also affords its users opportunities to try out new technologies or skills before investing in them further themselves. Using makerspace equipment, patrons can fabricate their own replacement parts instead of buying them. And our garden tool and seed library can provide all the pieces needed to cultivate one's own garden. The gear library in our Library of Things includes many items that can be borrowed, which enable local camping, hiking, and even staycations. This is a unique offering, and we're very proud of it. Its creation was at no cost to taxpayers due to community partnerships, and it was the subject of a recent presentation to the New Hampshire Library Association Conference by our staff. We've formed creative community partnerships. The library continues to broaden its programming offerings by forging numerous partnerships within the community. These creative partnerships maximize everyone's resources and eliminate duplication of services, thus allowing for more offerings. This year alone, programming has been offered in conjunction with the Harris Center, Stonewall Farm, Keene State, Keene High, and Antioch University, just to name a few. The AARP funded a series of workshops for seniors on how to use artificial intelligence, and the library also hosts social service agencies in our lobby to connect interested patrons to community resources. We have great programs. There is something for everyone. Programming is diverse and well attended, with some events such as our annual Trick or Treat for Books and New Year's Eve, each drawing in excess of 225 attendees apiece. It is worth noting that last year the Friends of the Library and the library trustees provided 100% of library programs. The trustees would be remiss at this point if we did not take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank the Friends of the Library for their continued and generous support. This year, their overall financial support was in excess of $61,000, which is in addition to other activities that support and enrich the library's mission. Their 2 annual book sales being the most notable among these. Our library could not sustain the number and quality of our programming offerings without the Friends' continued assistance towards items that fall beyond the city budget. And finally, we've expanded our outreach. Increased need for library services also demands wider outreach efforts to educate the public about our free resources and how to use them. Library staff work resource booths at city festivals, they make school visits, and encourage new library card sign-up, amongst many other community activities. To this end, the library staff and dedicated library volunteers deserve much recognition for having augmented the library's presence in the community. They consistently create a professional, safe, and trusted space for seeking information in the community. Conference and meeting bookings in both Heberton and Cohen Halls have facilitated civic engagement, community conversations, and introduced out-of-town attendees to both our library offerings, but also to those of our fair city. Looking ahead to the new fiscal year, the Keene Public Library continues to respond to the shifting needs of its patrons and greater community. As Jennifer Howard states in her 2019 article on libraries for the National Endowment for the Humanities magazine, there aren't many truly public spaces left in America. Most of our shared spaces require money or certain social status to access. One place, though, remains open to everyone, the public library. Our library is an indispensable resource for learning and community connection in the heart of this city. The trustees wish to thank the city for its continued support. I will turn the floor over to Director Fisk for.
Good evening. Marty Fisk, Library Director. So I'm going to go over the revenue and expenditure lines, which have changes. Those changes that I'm requesting are based on the FY24 actual costs and the FY25 years to date. So our rental incomes looking at a reduction of about $900. That's not an actual reduction in our total income, however, because we have something called the Heberton Fund. Most of our rentals are now taking place in the annex, the new annex, the Heberton Annex, and all of the rental funds go there to the Heberton Fund. The Heberton Fund is used to maintain that portion of the building. So the revenues are actually going up, it's just not being seen on this line. The rental pretty much accounts for only a few rooms now when they have the addition on. Non-resident fees are being dropped a little bit to align with the actual income from the last 2 years. Public printer copiers, we're reducing a tiny bit. It's also still more than paying for the actual costs of the public printing fees, though. We're still making an income from public printing. Fines continue to drop. It's a trend that we've been seeing for several years as people are taking more and more advantage of the easy access to online renewals. And lost and damaged materials is always a bit of a guess. Some years we're seeing small losses spread over a large number of people, and then sometimes we have very large losses that get added into a few people. So it's a little adjustment. As for the personnel line, you'll recall that in March, the council approved for the transfer of funds to our personnel line to adjust for numbers that weren't sufficient for our approved staffing levels. The amount that's requested for FY26 will maintain our existing staffing levels at the same level that they have been for the last 2 years, while correcting the hourly and part-time budget lines. The printer lease is being reduced by about $500 due to lower than estimated costs. Our meetings and dues line reflects the transfer of the OCLC membership fees from the software supply line. OCLC is a membership that's required at the national level in order to maintain interlibrary loan services. And an additional $60 was added in to reflect increased costs for fees. Communications and telephone, we've been seeing rising costs for that, particularly for POTS lines, which are used for the 3 elevators and the alarm systems in the building. They have risen quite dramatically in the last fiscal year. Postage line is also increasing to reflect changes in a postage meter lease that started after we had established the budget for the last fiscal year, and also for the increasing postal rates. Over the last 3 years, postal rates have increased 8% a year, and we expect that to continue. I'm going to skip ahead to the supply software line because this is going to explain the numbers that you're seeing in the collections line. The software supplies line increasing by $4,300. All of our software subscriptions, I went through each one of them and adjusted it for current year increases and saw that the average is a 5% a year across the industry, so estimating a 5% increase for next year. Then the base was also increased by $3,408 to reflect the removal of the interlibrary loan memberships and the addition of some ordering cataloging software some marketing software, which were taken out of the collection line, because that's not purchasing books, that's purchasing software. And then the $500 that we had saved from the printer lease to help with the cost of increase there. Then the collection line, once these subscriptions, software was removed, that reflects a request of about $4,498. That's a lower figure than what is actually needed to maintain the current buying power, given inflation costs, which have ranged between 5.5% for educational books, 4.5% for magazines, 5% for online subscriptions, like our Canopy and our other online books and the like, and 3% for recreational books. So at a 4% average, that would translate to a $6,020 increase, and we're asking for $4,498. When you take out the adjustments that we've had with removing software from the collection line, we've only had an increase by $2,680 for collections over the last 3 years. So that's it for my lines. If you have any particular questions.
Questions, members of the committee? Yes, sir.
Have you been receiving any pressure from the state or the federal government to try to force you to limit what you provide to the public?
No, we have not. It's been, I think we're way off their radar, frankly.
Okay.
Members of the public? Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jacob Favolis, Main Street. I see this reflected in the organizational chart, but one of the things that struck me when I was toured the library when I first got on council about a year ago now was the way that the Makerspace interns or intern program provides an opportunity for kind of education for students that are interested in getting into arts management or interested in getting into arts education. And so even beyond the resources that are provided physically for members of the community, there's also a real learning opportunity here. And I wondered if either or both of you could kind of speak to the way that the library supports the community, not only in terms of physical resources, but also as a learning opportunity and a learning lab for folks. Thank you.
Sure. We're very thankful for the Friends of the Library. They are the ones who are funding our interns for the Makerspace. They pay 100% of the internship wages. So that was a clear example that the counselor gave. We also have internships. We have had 3 interns this year, 1 from Keene State College and 2 from high schools. One was a student who was moving into her senior year and was considering going into librarianship among a couple of other fields. And then we currently have a high school student at one of the charter schools who's working with us for the school year. All of them are students who are interested in getting into either librarianship or something related. Then we have people who are coming in and learning things using our software, taking classes, programs. We have online databases with teaching, such as universal classes. So people can take certifications on software if they needed to upgrade their skills, say for a new job, but they need to learn Excel or get some other level of certification. They can access that through the online databases. And then just plain, self-directed learning. We have a lot of people who are just picking up new hobbies or learning how to raise chickens in their backyard as well.
Anybody else in the public? Counselor Remy, you all set?
I am. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parks and Recreation.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Kara Fisk-Hennessy. I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation. I'm joined by two of our managers in the audience, Frank Pepper Anderson, who manages our parks and cemeteries, and Alyssa Bender-Jesse, who manages our youth services program. Bree Rafford-Varley is on the fields right now as our recreation manager. So I would like to share how proud we are as a team to offer a vast scope of services for our community, encompassing departmental administration, recreation programming and events for all ages, parks and cemeteries care, sustainability and enhancement, and youth services, diversion, and educational outreach. We prepared a condensed packet, and I know that there were no presentations, but we prepared a condensed packet to supplement tonight's budget presentation that simply highlights our community reach and impact and provides a general overview of all of our spaces and engagement with those who live, work, and play in Keene. So, if you'd like me to hand these, thank you. To provide a very quick and general snapshot, we have 14 full-time and 2 part-time staff across all branches of our work and rely on our significant seasonal staffing, which usually lands between 60 and 75 individuals in various roles annually, as well as volunteers to help us fulfill our mission and our work for the city of Keene. The total proposed operating budget for Parks and Recreation is relatively unchanged from years past at roughly $2.2 million. Our team continues to provide our community with quality spaces and experiences in creative and thoughtful ways while remaining fiscally responsible. Our supplemental requests for fiscal year 26 are focused on maintaining current levels of service in 2 distinct functions, maintenance and development. Regarding maintenance, we are requesting the following, and I know that it is line by line within the budget book. Standby and on-call service, an increase of $5,250. Rubbish removal, an increase of $5,000. Tree maintenance and care for an increase of $4,000. Electricity for an increase of $2,500. Pool electricity for $2,766, and pool chemicals for an additional $4,000. We have discovered a need to identify the Sumner Night Chapel maintenance scope and scheduling as part of a future project, future CIP plan. That is in the current budget as a supplemental request, and we will be withdrawing that $17,000 request for supplemental funding. All of our supplemental maintenance requests are focused on bringing budgetary allocations up to the demonstrated and current levels of expenditure. Regarding development, we are requesting the following surrounding educational opportunities within our national association, as well as nominal increases in the recreation equipment allocation. We are asking for $500 as an increase in our recreational sport equipment. For national conference attendance, we are asking for $4,500 for our managers to be able to attend the National Recreation and Parks Association Conference. And we are also requesting $3,400 in training to attend the National Recreation and Parks Association Director School, which is a 2-year commitment. Increasing staff training opportunities and professional development, staying on trend and on top of the best practices while making a positive impact are important to our team and our overall departmental function. We engage with our community in multiple ways as leaders and as partners and appreciate the opportunity to share a handful of numbers reflective of this year so far. In terms of recreation, we have robust program participation with over 2,092 youth and 902 adults in a variety of programming. Our community event participation, we've had 3,030 community members attend. Additional programs served participation, we have 880 community members as part of that. In terms of youth services, which is also supported by county and grant funding, juvenile court diversion numbers look like 97 offenses, which equaled out to 80 cases that were managed. Youth services prevention and intervention outreach, we have 817 participants. The Youth Services Summer Youth Program has 9 employees currently. And the Youth Services Wellness Education has 320 participants. We have 18 parks and 9 cemeteries that we are responsible for. We welcomed a $44,000 pavilion donation at our youth ball fields this year. We have initiated the community garden relocation. We've provided educational outreach surrounding red pine scale as part of a multi-year forest diversification initiative. We are in the finishing stages of Patricia Russell Park project with the skate park build, which was completed, the Findings Building demolition, and the bocce court installation, which will be happening before the beginning of June. I'm really excited about that. We have also secured a contract for cemetery expansion master planning because the number of burials continues to outpace those in years past. In terms of community engagement, our outreach through Parks and Recreation is complementary of the city's branding initiative, both offline and online. We have had 731,000 Facebook post views and 6,800 Facebook followers new this year. We've had 120,000 Instagram post views and 1,622 Instagram followers so far this year. And we have advertised 184 programs and attended 5 local community nights. I'd be willing to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Director. I have a couple of questions for you, a couple topics that I just wanted to chat through
Sure.
quick. The first is around the adult recreational programs, the
Yes.
sports. Looks like we've had some great growth over the past couple of years, right? We're going from 380 to 500.
Yes.
Do you have any insight you could provide around, what sports are we seeing really growing in the city, or what other activities are growing? And along that same line, I know there's been a lot of changes to accommodate pickleball, for example.
Yes.
Where we've changed a lot of, our tennis courts around to be able to accommodate both. Do we see any other facility changes needed to support the growth that we've seen in our sports programs?
Regarding pickleball, we will be enhancing 2 of our court surfaces with pickleball lines this summer. That has already been a contracted service through Vermont Recreation. We're excited about that. So in terms of pickleball, there will be more places to play, which is very important. In terms of adult and youth sports, we've really found a niche with offering high-quality programs that are affordable for our community and really emphasizing the community feel of it. So our youth soccer program is really robust. Flag football has taken off. Basketball is always a big number driver. And then we offer flag football and soccer in the spring for our youth as well. Adult programming and senior programming, we have Zumba Gold, we have Senior Shape Up, we have pickleball, we have memberships for that. There are a lot of opportunities for people to get involved in terms of being active in their lives. And that doesn't even include all of the partner organizations that we work with to offer things like youth baseball, youth softball, men's and women's league softball. There are lots and lots of opportunities. We just brought back men's basketball this year, so we continue to grow. We have a really wonderful team that identifies what those needs are, and we work to meet those needs.
Thank you. And if I may, a second question here as well, just moving over to Wheelock. I'm down there often my nephew's probably actually out there right now playing baseball. Unfortunately, missing his game, sorry. But I want to say the pavilion down there looks great.
It's beautiful.
Looks really good. I grew up with those fields as well, so I'm very used to having all the trees up there. Of course, we just took out a number of those red pines along some of those baseball fields. Gives it kind of a weird feel having that much open space now. But wondering if you could speak to plans that we might have for planting new trees or whatever else we might be putting in some of those spaces where we are taking trees down.
Sure. We took down roughly 70 trees. It started off as 50. We took roughly 70 trees down as part of that educational tract that's out by the youth ball fields in between the ball field outfields and the bike park itself. So that does look very different. It is very open. We are working with the bike park group to see if we can get those, and we're exploring other opportunities as well to get those stumps ground so that we can make sure that there aren't any tripping hazards out there and we can make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. We've also worked with Public Works and Highway. Duncan Watson was able to secure some tree funding and has provided us an opportunity to choose some trees that could be planted in that area, just so people can start to see what a diversified forest could look like out there. And it's not going to be a heavily wooded land. We're not going to replace tree for tree. That's not the intent of what's going to be happening. And unfortunately, we do have this invasive pest. And unfortunately, we are at the end of our pine's natural life. So we do have to make some plans. We've been really successful so far in having, presenting to City Council, presenting to MSFI, making sure that everybody was aware that Red Pine Scale is a very real thing. And we've also had a wonderfully attended Red Pine Scale Walk and Talk with our community members. The New Hampshire Division of Forests and Lands, as well as UNH Cooperative Extension, they are continue to work with us as we go into FY26. We do have forestry assessment money as part of the CIP for FY26. We will be offering additional educational workshop opportunities that we will record so they could be available online as well, and are going to be putting signage up out there so people know that we're not just cutting down trees because we want to cut down trees. There's actually a reason behind all of it. And we're excited for what's next. There's a lot of planning that's going to go into what's next.
Awesome. Thank you, Director.
You're welcome.
One of the questions, what do we do, what kind of events or support that do we have for disabled people in the community?
That's a really wonderful question. We have events like Kids to Parks Day, which just happened this past Saturday, that is intergenerational and offers an opportunity for people of all abilities to access and enjoy being out in our public spaces. All of our public spaces are accessible for those that are differently abled in our community. We are working on ideas for all-person trails and the Goose Pond Forest, and we're continuing to solicit feedback from that community to see how we can make it better.
The reason I was asking that because going through the trails at Wheelock Park, going through the trails at Robin Hood, there used to be no problem. I used to be able to run them whatsoever. But now, since I have a dropped foot and I can't always see, now it becomes kind of dangerous. And so people who have handicaps or disabled should still be able to get to enjoy the beauty of both those places, especially like Robin Hood.
Absolutely. Thank you for that feedback. It's
Thank you.
very important for us.
Members of the public? Members of the public? Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jacob Favelis, Main Street. Councilor Lake actually took the first half of my question about Red Pine Scale. I know we've talked a little bit at MSFI, but I wonder, because I've gotten questions about it from constituents at neighborhood group meetings, are there any plans for, any more concrete plans than what you've shared in the past for repurposing some of the Red Pine Scale infested or potentially infested, pre-infested red pine that we're cutting down? I know there had been some suggestions that it could be used to reinforce parts of the bike park or potentially chipped.
We definitely did that I feel like I need to face you to talk to you about it. We definitely did that with the 70 trees that we took down. We repurposed, we either chipped them or we repurposed them for retaining wall structures for the bike park itself. The bike park volunteers were wonderful. They debarked all of the trees, so they will last a really long time in their current state. What we are looking forward to is really discovering what the harvestability would provide for us in terms of telephone pole stock, log cabin stock, moving forward with the volume of red pine trees that we will need to harvest. So we're really looking at what those options could be, because we want that to be as cost-effective as possible.
And then if I could just ask a second, thank you. So this is another Wheelock Park related question. We're coming up on a full year of operation of the dog park. I don't know if there are any metrics that the director can put around that, or just a general kind of a summary of how that's gone. I know it's something the community was really looking forward to. I don't know to what extent it has actually been utilized, because I don't get out there a lot.
We can tell you that it is very popular. The large dog park is much more popular than the small dog park. So the small dog park has kind of unofficially been repurposed into senior dog, a senior dog space.
Okay.
So we have installed agility stations that the dog park group had purchased. We were able to partner with them for that, and they have also provided us a tool library housing unit so that people will be able to fill in the holes and do all of those necessary maintenance pieces.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in the master plan, well, let me back up a second. Our city has an incredible resource of facilities. It really is remarkable. I think it's one of the things that makes Keene as attractive as it is, whether it be in the library or it be in our parks. It really incredible resources. So I guess there are two thoughts. One is the city staff's been incredibly creative in identifying the resources to construct the facilities. Now there is the maintenance of the facilities, and is our budget. And I'm trying to look out to the future, and this is not something about a question about this year's budget. I assume it's gone through the proper vetting, and this is the right budget for this coming year. And as we've gone through the master plan process and neighborhoods have begun to be more active and involved in the master plan, and you look at the list of parks, the facilities that we've got, they're unequal, right? There are some that are pristine, brand new. The maintenance question is the right question for those parks. There are a number of other spaces that are underutilized and don't have facilities in them that would drive more kids or more people to use them more actively and recurringly. So I guess what I'm looking towards is a suggestion or path for our neighborhood groups to come forward with their ideas for rejuvenating and invigorating some of the underutilized parks, parklets that we've got in the city, and offer those suggestions out to people as the next year rolls and the next CIP comes along. So that's what I'm interested in hearing Kara or others react to. Thank you.
Sure. We have, in this year's proposed budget, we have really worked hard to identify what deferred maintenance items definitely needed our focus for this fiscal year. I think there's always an opportunity to make our spaces more robust, and I appreciate that feedback. I think that it's something that we can bring back to our team, and we can really do some auditing in terms of how many people do use our parks, what are the concerns that they have around park amenities, and how can we build upon that. That'll be something that we take into consideration in future budgets, for sure.
One of the other things is the active passive, I'm not going to get this right, active passive recreation plan.
Yes.
Your master plan. That is something that we really need to look at updating, and we've talked a little bit about when's the right time for that. But that will set the future in terms of how we invest, because while we'd like to do everything, we have to prioritize and do that strategically across the city. And so using that plan to prioritize projects will be important, and it'll be an important part of future capital planning updates.
Actually, I just have a quick comment, Pam Slack from Keene, and this is for Councilor Roberts. Councilor Roberts, one of the reasons the bocce court is going in at Russell Park is because the family requested it. It is due to the fact that we do have Special Olympics in Keene and in the county, and one of the sports that they play is bocce. And so I think I'm not sure what kind of contact the city has with the Special Olympics, but Special Olympics Olympians do use the parks.
We have a wonderful relationship with Special Olympics of New Hampshire. We host their basketball assessments each year, and we provide volunteers for their spring games as well. And I know that the college also has a wonderful relationship with Special Olympics of New Hampshire, providing volunteers for their state bowling tournament that happens each fall.
Anybody else? Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Andy Bohannon, Deputy City Manager. And tonight, I wanted to kind of reflect a little bit on, after the budget last year, a question was asked of what is facilities? And so wanted to just kind of tune that up a little bit and provide you with some information. But as we presented this year's budget, we're really focused on the sustainability, efficiency, and innovative ways to meet the council goals related to energy. And you'll see our metrics and our narratives have kind of shared that, and that begins on page 126. So the purpose of facilities management is to support the working environment for the City of Keene employees. The team ensures that the functionality, comfort, safety, sustainability, and efficiency of the built environment. Our department continues to work through the guidance of the comprehensive master plan, various consultants, and we still rely a little bit on the EMG facilities report. It's more or less now at this point, kind of like, okay, did we not check something that we should have checked along the way? We are in internal discussions with Scott Martin, our facilities manager, and myself, just kind of looking at ways that we can update that plan, whether that be through a technology or hiring a consultant. How do we do that sort of thing? So that is definitely on our radar, because I feel like at this point that EMG report's fairly old. We've got new buildings that need to be updated. When I start to think about the library is, over 8 years old, the expansion, that is pretty significant. The fire station is 13 years old. Just seems like kind of yesterday that we did some ribbon cutting, and before you know it, age of those systems creeps up on you, and maintenance is growing and growing. So all of these are where we create our initiatives towards being more financially sustainable. I think it's really difficult in our world when consultants or just the general work just continues to increase. And so you'll kind of receive that in our budget. You'll also note that I just want to kind of define, so somebody has said to me, what is facilities? What do you do? And so by definition from the International Organization of Standardization, facilities is defined as an organizational function which integrates people, place, and process within the built environment with the purpose of improving the quality of life of the people and the productivity of the core business. So if you think about what we do on our facilities team, and we have a great team spread out across the city at various facilities, we look to improve the quality and productivity and financial performance of each building, enhance sustainability and reduce negative environmental impacts, develop functional and motivating work environments, provide safe workplaces, optimize life cycle performance and cost of building envelopes, and project an organization's identity and image more successfully. And as I was writing that particular piece, I was like thinking about oftentimes when people enter City Hall, there's a first impression that we are clean, we are kept, and that is a direct reflective of one of our custodians, Phil. He does an amazing job every day, working hard to clean the City Hall, make it look presentable for when the councilors come in, when the public comes in, and he takes a lot of pride in that, and just wanted to thank him for that opportunity that he gives to us. And he makes everything shine, and he tries to go a little bit unnoticed, but he definitely likes to make his presence felt. But we are sincerely appreciative of him every day. So you will find, as I mentioned, Scott Martin, our facilities manager, he continues to do an amazing job monitoring his budgets very closely, keeping me apprised of where we are across the budget and what facilities, trying to meet our financial sustainability goals. This is key, because it's really hard to decipher needs versus wants. You may want something, or you may versus what you need, and it's really critical when we come down to this time of year, and we may have a reserve in our budget, knowing that something could crop up at one of our facilities, and we need to make sure that that gets taken care of. And so he's constantly on the lookout and forecasting all of that, and does a really great job strategizing that future. So what you will see in this year's budget is supplemental requests, related to the increased cost of conducting business. You'll see trash removal increased across all our facilities, specifically the West Keene Fire Station, because of a terminated state contract. We were pretty lucky after we signed the state, took over the building, the contract for the trash removal kind of slipped through the cracks for them, and we were able to get pricing for their state. That got noticed this year, and they pulled their dumpsters, and we had to go out and get that. So now we're across citywide on the same contract. But those did increase. And I'm sure everybody else's removal of trash has increased as well. Maintenance equipment, we've asked for $5,000 in each of the facilities to upgrade our control systems. This software enables our staff to pay attention and be more efficient for the heating and cooling of all the buildings. It allows our building mechanics to identify problems, to kind of troubleshoot, as opposed to going like, how do I track that down? We can really identify where the problem is very quickly. What we need to do is upgrade the system across the board, so we have more efficiencies there. City Hall, we've asked for a $10,000 request to replace the second floor lobby that is out here. It's fairly dated. We tried product this year, just did not work the way we wanted to, and feel the need to kind of like jazz up the second floor lobby just a little bit. It's a high customer area related to parking, to human services, those going down to the assessing or human resources office. And so it's really important. Anybody coming in related to economic development, having meetings right in the second floor conference room, that's really important. It's just that it's, like I said, related to the lobby. It's that first image, what they see, and how we want to present ourselves. At the library, we're continuing to have just constant repairs to our mechanical system, and it's driven our expenses beyond our current budget. So we're seeking an additional $7,795 for continued maintenance needs. At the rec center, we have some phone lines just related to, we're working with IT to identify if there is better solutions related to our copper lines related to our elevators. So that is one thing that would certainly help reduce, but until we're able to get there and the technology is there, we see an increase for our phone lines for a couple different reasons, but $1,904 is that request at the rec center for the phone lines. For Central Fire, we have a couple of requests. One, the $4,000 is just for the aging equipment. Like I said, the facility is 13 years old. Doesn't seem it, but it is. The fire department's, like the police department, is unique. They are a 24/7, 365 operation. They never stop, and it gets a lot of wear and tear. And so that is just a constant use. So $4,000 to help improve the equipment there. We've asked for another $4,500 related to the electricity. The demand for electricity in that building continues to rise. And at Central and West, respectively, $1,000 and $1,500 in janitorial supplies. We're supporting the Central Fire Station with 10 hours a week with our custodial staff. working with the chief related to that. And but just the supplies in general, it's, like I said, it's a constant use facility. They do a great job to maintain that with our support, and just want to be able to maintain a better looking fire station. And lastly, at the airport, you'll see a $10,000. This is to replace the stairs at the front entrance. So, Dave Hickling, airport director, sat here earlier tonight and just shared all the amazing numbers that are happening down at the airport. And specifically, I think what he said, over 56,000 meals served at the restaurant. All those people are coming through the doors and looking at our stairs and probably saying maybe the same thing I am, is, these are in need of update. And so that is happening, or would like to be able to do that. We've also adjusted some other line items to make that project a success. So those are all the supplementals. Like I said, we have an amazing team. It just provides the services. And with your support, we'll continue to flourish with the goals we have set for the upcoming year. So cost center details can be found in 130 to 135. Revenues highlighted at 129. And if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Questions here? From the public? I guess I'd have to say that this is the first time in 37 years that I know that you've got the whole function, the most important function, making the buildings look right in one place in one system. And I think it's taken a long time to get there for various reasons, but even though you have to ask for some additional funding for the operations, I think it's costing us a lot less now to maintain these facilities in the top quality that you want to. So I know a couple of people have been responsible for getting this thing to where it is, and it's a great job. It's been a long time coming.
Thank you.
Necessary. And Brian taught you well. Clean it
That
at
he
the
did.
door, and we won't see it any further, so. Yeah.
That he did.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Stewart, page 136.
Good evening, councilors. Steve Stewart, I'm the police chief. Not a lot has changed with our requested budget this year. As such, I'll only talk about, barring any questions, the loan supplemental request that we have, which is a request for $16,000 this year, which would be the first installment of a 5-year contract with Axon. They manufacture tasers, and we would have a 5-year deal with them that would include cartridges and a variety of other training programs and such that I'll get into. So we don't yet field tasers, and the idea has been flirted with off and on over the last 20 years anyway, and I think sort of previous command staffs have felt that the cost wasn't necessarily worth what the product was and how it performed, especially in the Northeast. The product that Taser has, their newest product, is a superior product to what we've seen before. The previous iterations had range issues. You couldn't be too far away, you couldn't be too close. They were more impacted by heavy clothing that you see in the Northeast, things like that. The newest version has a further range. It's a 45-foot range as opposed to about a 25-foot range. It fires multiple darts, not a single cartridge. So the old systems where you'd have a cartridge clamped on there, it would have 2 probes, and you would shoot it, and if both of them didn't connect with the skin and make contact about 12 inches apart, you didn't get neuromuscular incapacitation like you were looking for. This newer system, you fire a single shot, you're able to aim it with a laser, fire the second shot. The device tells you if you've got a good connection or you don't, and then you can fire a third, a fourth, a fifth, as many as it takes to achieve what you're trying to achieve, which is incapacitation. As such, it really makes it a lot better for the Northeast and being able to target these areas. Additionally, you can get closer and deploy it because you can manually direct how far the spread of these probes are going to be. So I can direct it here and here as opposed to one shot, both probes go out. Which also removes the function that some police departments got in trouble with the previous versions, which was called the drive stun function, where they would take the probes off it and just press it into the person, and it really didn't achieve neuromuscular incapacitation. It only was really pain compliance. So there's a lot of reasons that the new device is superior. Additionally, it comes with, in terms of transparency and accountability, and this is what we're really talking about, right? It's another tool for us to help de-escalate situations and potentially not use lethal force. It's by no means a replacement to lethal force or guns. It's not a magic bullet, but there are circumstances where it can be a valuable tool, and that's what we're looking for. To achieve. What comes with the system is a data tracking and evidence module. So when the taser gets docked, it downloads what it did when it shot, how long it was, how many probes were fired, and if it was sort of recycled again. So if you fire the probes, you get a good connection, it lasts for 5 seconds. You get the compliance you want, you get them handcuffed, it stops. If it doesn't, you can re-energize it and start the process over again. So all of this is tracked digitally and can't be altered. So in terms of lawsuits and abuse and all of those sort of things, there's safeguards in place for that. Like I said, there's the de-escalation functions with it. Some of the users of it are seeing good results. It has sort of a warning sound that goes off before it's deployed. It's sort of a Star Wars, Star Trek type of sound, which I'm told has been effective in convincing people that they should do what's being asked of them at the time. And additionally, the package comes with a virtual reality training package. So the virtual reality headsets, they have scenarios that allow you to do real-time training, allows for mistakes, allows for correction, tracks responses and response to training. And yeah, I would say that's about it. It represents a significant advantage in terms of officer safety, public safety, operational effectiveness, and community relations. It's advanced capabilities, including greater accuracy, extended range, and integrated training combined with transparency features make it a quality tool for us, I believe. That's all I have.
Questions up here? Members of the public?
Very
All
good.
set. Thanks. Chief Martin starts on page 102.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jason Martin, Fire Chief for the City of Keene. I want to start with just a brief overview. We do have a very well-equipped and highly trained department. We are what we call ourselves an all-hazard department, meaning we do transport, medical, EMS, we do fire suppression, hazardous materials, technical rescues such as high angle with ropes, confined space, ice rescue, and swift water rescue, and then a few more. For non-response services, we provide public education, fire prevention through code enforcement, and thorough fire investigations. The fire department had another busy year last year for FY25. We experienced a record number of incidents, around 6,400 incidents in the FY25 year. So some of the increases in response came from calls to nursing homes. So in an attempt to lessen that increase on our department, once a month we meet collectively with Cheshire County EMS, Smart Ride, and Great Brook Ambulance. This is to discuss the responses to nursing homes and ensure maximum efficiency with all our resources. So trying to crack that nut and spread the wealth the best we can. With the constant growing number of calls for service over the course of the year, the department worked with city staff to identify solutions. Ultimately, an increase in staffing was overwhelmingly supported by city staff and council. So from everybody from our department, I just want to say thank you. And so most of my supplemental requests tonight for FY26 are associated with that increased staffing. Along with personnel costs of new people, we're requesting supplemental for contract obligations, starting with $6,500 for training. It's in both suppression and ambulance sections. $4,000 for NFPA 1582 physicals. Those are $1,000 a piece, one for each of the 4 new people that we have to add in. And then $500 for licenses and certifications. Again, just updating the number of people that we have. So we have 48 line personnel now with the addition of the 4 other new firefighters. Going along with the accessory costs, I'm asking for consideration for correction of one of my supplemental requests. This is on page 108, and it's under supplies and uniforms. And it's believed that the numbers got lost in translation between pattern stream to print. With the proposal from the city manager of a supplemental of $5,400 for uniforms for the new firefighters, that would make the total be $31,420 instead of $16,400, and this would just match what is required by the CBA.
So if you see, this is on page 108, it's not quite halfway down. The base amount was the 26,020. The supplemental was 5,400. The addition is not correct for the 16,400. So that just needs to be corrected.
Yep, thank you for that consideration. And then with recruitment as a challenge, like with every department, we're faced with hiring people that have less certifications and less training than we used to. So this requires the department to send these new employees to receive these certifications that are required to do the job. Until these new employees have finished the proper onboarding and while they're away at these classes, we still have to fill their spot, and this is done through overtime. So the next supplemental request that I'd like you to consider is for $60,325 in overtime supplemental staffing. That's what the code we use to cover a spot when somebody is away at class, or if somebody is actually out on FMLA. It's kind of the all-encompassing supplemental staffing. But the majority of that is coming from people that aren't up to speed yet or are away at class. For tuition of these additional certifications, we have also requested supplementals of $15,000 for training under administration and under ambulance for a total of $30,000. That's to pay for these classes. It doesn't pay for the overtime because they will go and we will support them while they're on duty, but that we still have to pay tuition for these classes. And then the next one is last year through a previous CIP project, the department purchased additional advanced life support equipment. This was a cardiac monitor and a ventilator. And to add these into their annual cost, preventative maintenance, I am requesting a supplemental of $5,064, and that's under the ambulance maintenance equipment. Every year, the department works to augment our budget with grant funds. This year, we have applied for the FY 2024 AFG grant in the amount of $569,126. There is a required match by the city if it's awarded. So the next supplemental request is a request of $78,217 for the grant match, and that's on page 109. And then as the department continues to grow, we feel it is important that we stay aligned with city staff and council on the level of service we want to provide and the trajectory of the department. We are requesting a supplemental of $20,000 for professional services. This is on page 106. This request is to hire an outside firm to develop a strategic plan for the Keene Fire Department to follow in the future. And That is all I have, unless you have questions that I'd be happy to answer.
Big question, around my ward in Ward 1, when I go by the railroad trails and some of the other ones by the park, I see more and more drug paraphernalia left on the ground and stuff. How has our calls for drug overdoses and stuff, has that been going down or staying the same, or?
Without having those numbers in front of me, that I'm going to say they've stayed about the same. I can't recall a huge increase, and I definitely can't recall a decrease. So, but I could get those numbers for you too. So.
Okay. Because I know since NOTCOM became readily available, I noticed the ambulance hasn't been coming around my neighborhood in that one, because we used to see ambulance, drug overdose, and so we don't see it as often or hear it in the middle of the night. So NOTCOM is probably saving lives, but also saving wear and tear on your people.
We'll take it. Yep.
Counselor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jacob Favell, East Main Street. I know the answer to this, but I feel like I have to ask it anyway. Is there any update from either the chief or the city manager on whether or not the SAFER grant is open?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So we just received information today that it will open on Friday. So the notice of funding opportunity, we call the NOFO, came out today. So it opens May 23rd and closes like July 13th. So there's a short window, but it did open.
Okay. So I guess I didn't know the answer because I had assumed no. So thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So the couple of adjustments that were mentioned this evening, the one for the cemetery, the reduction of that 17,271, and the correction for the fire department of the 12,620 were already added by the finance director on your corrected sheet. So we do have those numbers already included and have netted it out to a zero impact to the bottom line. The other thing that needs to be adjusted at your next meeting, which is Thursday, is the compensated absences fund, which is $100,000, is included in the overall general budget, which needs to be broken out. And so the finance director will have a revised resolution for you with these changes, as well as breaking out the compensated absences.
Okay. We good? Mr. Remy? You good?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, we're adjourned. Thank you very much. Thursday, 5:30.